The Minecraft Nether is one of the scariest yet most interesting places in the game, and today I'm going to be giving you guys the ultimate Nether guide for Minecraft 1.21. This guide includes all the Nether biomes and their features, all the different structures and how to rate them, along with how to find Netherite as well. Let's get straight into it. So let's start with the basics. On the surface, the Nether is an extremely hot, heck-like world, which is enclosed by a bedrock ceiling and a bedrock floor. There's no day or night, there's no weather, the only constants are fire, lava lakes, and lava pillars for miles and miles. Any water also just evaporates instantly, absolutely no water can exist here, wet sponges dry instantly, maps don't work, lava flows faster, and beds also explode if you try to sleep in them, which is fun. Yeah, I'm not joking, this is actually a feature. To access the Nether, you'll need to build a portal made out of 10 obsidian blocks like so, and then you'll need to light it with a flint and steel. After that, as long as the portal doesn't break, you'll have infinite access to the dimension. And despite being so scary, the Nether isn't just some hellish wasteland. It has life and foliage depending on the biome. So now, let's go over the 5 main biomes of the Nether. First up, we have the Nether Wastes. This is the most common Nether biome. The surface is mainly made up of a bunch of chunks of netherrack and gravel, along with, of course, a bunch of lava. The most common mob in this biome is zombie pigmen. These guys are neutral, meaning they'll be friendly to you unless you attack them. And if you do decide to attack them, well, a big mistake, because once you hit one of these guys, all the pigmen in the area will immediately chase after you. They're quite persistent as well, and they can even remember you later if you leave and come back. However, one use of killing zombie pigmen is rotten flesh. They're the only way to get rotten flesh in the Nether. Just be careful as they are really strong. Ghasts can also spawn less frequently in this biome as well. These are basically giant blocky ghosts that float around aimlessly in the sky, and whenever they detect you, they'll start launching fireballs directly at you. These fireballs do a good amount of damage and will usually knock you back. It will also break and set fire to the blocks it hits on impact. However, these fireballs can also be deflected by simply punching them. The fireball will go in the direction that you punched it, and yes, you can kill a ghast by deflecting its own fireball back to it. That's actually an achievement as well. But by far, the best way to deal with ghasts is with a bow. Deflecting the fireball isn't easy, and if you miss time, you will get hit by it, so a bow and arrow is super useful, and it'll kill the ghast in 1 or 2 hits. Ghasts can also drop gunpowder and ghast tears, which can be used to make end crystals and regeneration potions, which is cool. The third mob that can spawn is the magma cube. This is an annoying mob that jumps at you, and you'll take a good amount of damage if you touch it. If you kill a large one, it can also split into more magma cubes that you have to deal with. But thankfully, magma cubes are super slow, movement-wise, so if you use a bow, those guys will not pose a threat to you. And magma cubes are actually useful as well, because they can drop magma cream that makes fire resistance potions, so you won't have to worry about the ungodly amounts of lava and fire in the Nether. Then, the last mob that can spawn in the Nether Wastes, the piglin. These guys are actually a mob that spawns in Bastions, a Nether structure, so we'll go over them later in the video. The Soul Sand Valley is the next Nether biome. This biome has a pale blue fog and is made up of primarily soul sand and soul soil blocks. Walking on soul sand will slow your character's movement, but soul soil doesn't have any effect on you. This biome also has blue fire, as all fire on soul sand is blue. For those who don't know, blue fire is hotter than orange fire, and it'll burn you faster, so yeah, don't step in this stuff. You'll also see giant fossils dotting the landscape. These fossils are some unknown creatures that must have lived in the Nether millions of years ago. They are useful though, because you can harvest them and convert them into bone meal. In this biome, you'll find skeletons. These are literally just basic skeletons, the same ones from the overworld, so you shouldn't have too much trouble dealing with them. Just bring a shield to block their arrows and you'll be completely fine. The real problem with this biome though is ghasts, and I mean a lot of ghasts. They spawn super commonly here and are annoying to deal with, so just keep that in mind. The next biome on our list is the Basalt Delta. This biome is made of, you guessed it, basalt and blackstone blocks. Blackstone is actually a variant of cobblestone, so you can use it to make stone tools and furnaces as well if you need to. Anyways, the Basalt Delta is extremely dangerous due to its spiky and uneven terrain with lava basically everywhere. Even on land, there's just pools of lava lying around, so you have to be super careful when you navigate this place. And the cream of the crap, magma cubes spawn here in mass, so you have something else to worry about. Then the Crimson Forest. This biome has an ominous red fog and is made of red trees that have crimson wood, a reddish purple wood type. The ground is made of crimson nylium. The main mob that spawns here is the Hoglin, a big boar-like mob that is hostile to players. When you kill it, you can get pork chops though, so these guys are actually a food source. If you want to defeat them easily, here's exactly how. If you don't want to fight them directly, you can also use an item called Warped Fungus. This fungus can be found in the Warped Forest biome, and placing it down on a flower pot will immediately steer any Hoglins away. You can also, of course, use the old reliable lava bucket method on them too. Also, just tower up 3 blocks. It basically just defeats them, and if push really comes to shove, you can just use your shield, as their attacks are pretty slow. Hoglins can be bred with crimson fungus as well. This fungus is the same one that can be found on the forest ground, and is actually the one that grows into the giant trees you see everywhere. Besides the Hoglin, piglins also spawn in this biome, but again, it will go over those guys later. The Warped Forest is the final nether biome. It contrasts heavily with the Crimson Forest. It instead has blue trees and a purple fog, along with warped wood, a light blue wood type. The ground is made of warped nylium, which again it contrasts with the red of crimson nylium. The only mob that spawns in this biome is Enderman, the same Enderman from the overworld. If you need a refresher, they don't like to be looked at, they teleport, and they drop ender pearls when killed, and they can be found very commonly in this biome. But Aether, I hear you asking, how am I supposed to explore all these cool nether biomes if there's giant lava lakes separating all of them? Well, say hello to the Strider. These guys can be found on lava lakes, occasionally on land. If you place a saddle on them and hold a warped fungus on a stick, you can drive them across lava lakes anywhere you want. You can even take them back to the overworld with you. Just make sure rain or water doesn't touch them, otherwise they'll die. By the way, traversing in the nether can be super useful, because 1 block traveled in the nether is equivalent to 8 blocks traveled in the overworld. So to cover an 8,000 block distance in the overworld, you would only have to travel 1,000 of that in the nether, build a new portal, and voila. If you don't want to deal with the nether's dangerous terrain, remember how I said earlier that the nether has a bedrock ceiling? Yeah, there's actually nothing stopping you from getting on top of the ceiling. If you simply dig up there, press yourself against a ladder, and then ender pearl, you could just go straight through the bedrock and be on the nether roof. You won't have to worry about any mobs, any terrain, and you can just travel for as long as you want. Now, before we dive into the structures of the nether, here is some very important information for the safety of your gear. Remember how I said beds explode in the nether? That means you can't set your respawn point with them, but you can with a respawn anchor. Here's how to make one, and here's how to use it. You simply place the respawn anchor down, and then you need to power it with glowstone blocks. Glowstone can be found on the ceiling of the nether, and once you power the respawn anchor, you can then set your respawn point on it. You have 4 charges or lives on it, and each time you die and respawn there, -1 life. To get more lives, just feed more glowstone into it. Oh yeah, and please don't try to use this block in the overworld or end, because it will explode just like a bed, which is not nice. So now that you know all of that, let's go over some of the different structures you can find in the nether. Starting off, we got the nether fortress. First, what even is the nether fortress? Well, the nether fortress is a large structure made out of nether brick that spawns in Minecraft's nether dimension. In modern Minecraft, fortresses spawn in every single nether biome, so you can find them anywhere in the nether, but if you're struggling to find one, don't worry, it's actually pretty easy, despite what a lot of people think. There is a method to find one super quickly, which I'll be demonstrating right now. First, just to prove to you that you can do this in almost any world, I'm going to create a completely new world with a completely random seed, and I'm going to head into the nether. And then, once I'm in the nether, I'm going to make sure that I have easy access to my current coordinates, because I will be using them constantly throughout this method. After this, listen closely, and I mean very closely, to this next part. I'm going to travel to a position in the nether where my Z coordinates show positive 230 or around that number.
Then, once my Z is in the correct position, it becomes very simple. I'm just going to travel in a straight line along the x-axis while keeping my Z coordinates at the exact same value, meaning my Z does not change at all while I'm traveling on the x-axis. While I'm traveling, I also need to make sure my Y position is between 60 and 80. If you've traveled a while in one direction of the x-axis while keeping your Z the same and still haven't found a fortress, then try going in the opposite direction and see if you can find a fortress in that direction. And what do you know, I just so happened to find a nether fortress, but say for example that you still haven't found a fortress even when going in both directions of the x-axis. Well, all you have to do is go to a position where your Z equals negative 230 instead of positive 230, and where your X is back near 0. And then you just have to travel in a straight line in both directions of the x-axis once again, and you should find a fortress that way.
So now that you've found yourself a fortress, let's talk about the layout of this thing, so you're not completely lost trying to explore it. Basically, nether fortresses have two main sections or areas. You have the exterior bit. This part is usually exposed. It will simply contain long and straight bridges or crossroads in all four directions with arches to separate them. The exterior can have one or two blaze spawners. We'll get more into blazes and other mobs that can spawn in the fortress later in the video. Just keep in mind the blaze spawners are pretty much the most important part of the fortress. The interior of the nether fortress will be a sort of rectangular box-shaped thing if it's exposed to the surface, and the interior is amazing because here you can find loot chests in the corners that can contain all sorts of valuable items including diamonds and obsidian. There's also iron and extra gear. You also got staircases that have the potential to contain gardens of netherwort and soul sand. This garden is actually the only place to get netherwort in Minecraft besides the Bastion, and this is nice because netherwort is pretty much necessary if you want to brew any sort of potion, so this makes the nether fortress a super valuable and OP structure to explore and loot. Keep in mind though, the interior of the fortress can be extremely maze-like, so I'd recommend marking any dead end you've been in with a block when you're raiding it. Just makes it so much easier to find your way out. Nether fortresses don't always generate with both an interior and exterior. Sometimes it's just one, but that's rare, and sometimes two nether fortresses can spawn right next to each other. Yes, this is possible, although rare, leading to one giant fortress for you to explore. Now let's discuss the 5 different mobs you can find in the nether fortress and how to defeat them. First, let's start with skeletons. If you really want to mitigate their threat, simply bring a shield with you to the fortress and you'll be completely fine. Wither skeletons are a bit scarier though. These guys have stone swords and will sprint at you upon detection. They can do up to 6 hearts of melee damage depending on the difficulty, and they will also inflict a 10-second wither effect when they hit you. This wither effect turns your health bar black and slowly chips away at your health. Although it lasts a short time, you can die from this effect if you were already low on health, and on top of that, it's quite difficult to see your health bar at all because of the color, so if you're low on health, you might not even realize it. But although dangerous, wither skeletons are extremely valuable because if you kill them, they can give you wither skeleton skulls which help you summon the wither. So because of that, here are 3 super easy ways to kill them off efficiently. First of all, if you're fighting them on the exterior, get away and use a bow because wither skeletons are generally pretty slow and they are pretty much harmless from a decent range. Wither skeletons can also spawn on the interior of the nether fortress too though, so what I'd recommend is whenever you turn a corner, just have your shield up. Their attack speed is also really slow, so if you just block their first attack, it's quite easy to get the upper hand on them after that. And one cool thing about wither skeletons is that they are actually 2.5 blocks tall, meaning they can't fit in 2 block tall gaps. So when one is chasing you, if you just place blocks to create a 2 block gap, the wither skeleton will be stuck and you can just kill it off really easily. There's also this spot right behind the netherwort garden. If you just run right through here with a wither skeleton chasing you, they won't be able to continue, and again, you can just kill them. If you get hit with wither, you can use milk buckets, super easy way way to just get rid of it. Zombie pigmen are up next. These guys are neutral, meaning they won't attack you unless you attack them. However, especially on Java editions, sometimes you can accidentally hit them while fighting another mob. So just avoid hitting mobs near zombie pigmen and you'll be completely fine. Magma cubes are a super annoying mob. Thankfully, they don't spawn that frequently. Again, the best way to deal with them is to just use a ranged weapon. They are astronomically slow, even compared to wither skeletons, so they will never pose a threat to you if you're more than 5 blocks away. And then the blaze. These guys are the most valuable mob in the Nether Fortress since they drop blaze rods when killed. Blaze rods have many uses, including for brewing. They make brewing stands. You can also craft them into blaze powder, which can fuel brewing stands, make strength potions, and craft eyes of ender, which you can use to find a stronghold and enter the end dimension. Blazes are a pain to fight though. They spawn naturally in the fortress and from blaze spawners in the exterior area, and their main attack is charging up for a few seconds by setting themselves on fire and then rapidly spitting out 3 fireballs in quick succession at you. If you're hit with one of them, you will take a good amount of damage and catch on fire. They also have a pretty strong melee attack if you get too close as well. There are a few ways to deal with them though. If you want, you can bring fire resistance potions, again made with magma cream. This completely negates all of their fireball damage, but if you don't have that, you can also just use blocks when dealing with them. Give yourself cover from their fireballs, and then you can just engage them in a ranged battle with a bow. By the way, be careful, because if you take cover, a blaze can still hold its fireball ready and release it as soon as you pop out. If you don't have blocks or potions though, simply wait a few seconds and then strafe around a bunch. That makes their fireball attack less accurate, so at least you have a better chance of not being hit, and you can also use a shield to just straight up block their attacks as well. In soul sand valleys and warped forests, nether fortresses spawn more mobs than usual since there's less hostile mobs in these biomes, so the fortress is able to spawn more. This means fortresses in these biomes are usually the best, especially for speedrunning. Then we got the bastion structure. First, what even are bastions? Well, bastions are large fortress-like structures made of blackstone that spawn in the nether dimension. They can house piglins, piglin brutes, hoglins, and magma cubes. Along with that, the structures contain lots of valuable loot such as iron, gold, diamonds, and even netherite. So now that we can identify the structure, let's go over how to find bastions first. First, let's talk about the biomes which bastions spawn in. Bastions can spawn in every single nether biome, excluding one, Basalt Delta. So bastions can spawn in the nether wastes, crimson forest, warped forest, and soul sand valley. If you want the biome where they most commonly spawn, well, the nether waste biome is probably your best bet. It's the most open and least hostile biome out of the 4. Now that we've talked about biomes, let's talk about how bastions generate. Bastions don't actually generate independently. In fact, they just replace about 60% of all nether fortresses upon world generation. So for example, let's say there's 10 potential places in the nether where a fortress will spawn. It's likely that 6 of these fortresses could be replaced with bastions instead, as long as it's not in a basalt delta. This means that the way bastions generate and the way nether fortresses generate are pretty much the exact same, and because of this, we can find out a lot about bastion generation. First, when you're going around looking for a bastion, make sure your Y level is between 55 to 65. Bastions are most commonly found at this Y level, and you don't want to accidentally miss a bastion just because you were too high or too low in the world. And second, nether fortresses are a lot more common when traveling on the X-axis, so it's safe to assume bastions are as well. I actually have an entire video on how to find nether fortresses based on this fact, so from what we already established, it could help you find a bastion as well. Link is in the top right. So now that you've found yourself a bastion, what do you need to know from here? Well, one important thing is definitely the mobs you will face. Bastions can spawn 4 different mobs: piglins, piglin brutes, hoglins, and magma cubes. Piglins aren't inherently hostile, but their neutrality is conditional. First, you need to be wearing at least 1 piece of gold armor around the piglins. Not doing so will cause every piglin within a short range to immediately attack you. You also cannot open any sort of chest type block with piglins in direct line of sight. They will attack you even if you have gold armor. You cannot break a chest or any sort of gold type block near piglins either, and finally, you cannot attack a piglin. As long as you follow all these rules, the piglins will remain friendly with you. But Aether, I hear you saying, didn't you say bastions are full of valuable loot? How am I supposed to loot the bastion's riches if I can't even open a chest near the piglins? Well, for chests, I only said piglins will attack you if they see you opening the chest. Piglins cannot see you through the walls, in this case at least, so as long as you build a wall around the chest and then open it, you are still safe. They can, however, still detect protect you if you break a gold block or chest, but after about 30 to 45 seconds, they do cool down if you're not in their direct vision. But let's say you do anger the piglins by accident. Well, don't worry, because all you have to do is throw some gold at them. Any sort of gold item, the piglins will immediately get distracted, which gives you some time to make your escape. Piglins can also be bartered with if they're not attacking you. Same thing, you just give them a gold ingot, and after examining the ingot, they will toss you an item. They can give you some pretty good stuff, doesn't beat villager trading, but still a nice feature. Don't get too excited though, as this next mob is not as deceivable. The piglin brutes are basically the guardians of the bastion. Their job is to ensure you don't come near the bastion or its riches at all. These guys do not care if you're wearing gold armor, they will attack you anyways. Even if you try to drop gold at them, they simply do not care. One good thing about them though is that they don't respawn in the bastion, so once you've killed all of them, you've basically killed them off for good. Regardless though, I would not recommend engaging them in direct combat unless it's from range. First of all, up close they are extremely strong. They do crazy damage and have a ton of health, so just 2 piglin brutes can overwhelm you in melee combat pretty easily. Secondly, there is usually a lot of them in bastions, and attacking them will anger other piglins too, so you just end up making your situation worse. But fear not, as there is an easy way to deal with them. First, using boats. When a piglin brute charges towards you, you can simply place a boat and it will be stuck. Just be careful not to get too close, as they can still attack you. An even better way, however, is to use lava buckets. Because using lava doesn't actually anger the other piglins, you can kill a bunch of brutes this way, and lava kills quickly too, so this is quite useful. Do remember to always be on your toes though, and aware of your surroundings at all times, because if a piglin brute gets a fast one on you, it's pretty much game over. Another mob that can spawn is the Hoglin. This is a big boar-like mob that is hostile to any player, however don't worry, as piglins will not get mad if you kill a Hoglin. And finally, the magma cube. This one can only spawn through spawners in treasure bastions. So now that you know the different mobs you will encounter, let's go over each of the variants of the bastion, their layout, and how good their loot is. First, something consistent with every bastion is the ramparts. These are tall buildings or compartments you could say, and each bastion will have around 2 or 3 of these, it depends on the variant, but basically at the top of these buildings, you will always find loot chests, whether 1 or 3. A good rule of thumb is that usually, the taller the rampart, the more chests it'll have at the top. Now let's dive into the different bastion variants. First up, we got the Hoglin Stables Bastion. You can see this bastion has some ruined stables over here. It's kind of like 4 to 5 floors of just like stables. You can find chests kind of scattered about, but do be careful here though, as there are Hoglins, because this is the Hoglin Stables. These guys are right here, and you can just see the whole place is kind of in disarray. I mean, you got random blocks, ledges, and holes where you can fall into lava, so just be careful when you're navigating this part of the bastion. This area is not always consistent either. Sometimes there's like a bunch of chests, sometimes there's like 2 or 3. However, they will have some good loot in them. You have like ancient debris over here. You are guaranteed to have this chest as well. I don't know why it's covered by blocks. Usually that's not the case. Basically, this chest is right next to the staircase, which leads up to the ramparts, and it'll have some above average loot here, like mostly gold and stuff, but it can have netherite upgrade templates as well and stuff like that, and there might be some gold blocks scattered about and stuff. But now let's look at the ramparts. Basically, you have 3 ramparts attached to these stables. If you're curious, this is one, this is another, and this is the third one. And these ramparts are extremely variable. Like, all of them can be super tall, or all of them can be short. And like I said, usually the tall ones have more chests, like here. So if all 3 ramparts are short like this one, then it's pretty garbage. You're just gonna find like 1 chest per thing. So yeah, this bastion is very RNG based, but if you look at the tunnels and the ramparts, you can find a bunch of these snout blocks, and usually, yeah, if you dig behind these snout blocks, you will find hidden gold blocks inside. This actually goes for pretty much every bastion, not just the Hoglin Stables. And there can be more chests and 1 or 2 gold rooms, and basically this gold room will have like gold blocks, and if you dig under, yeah, there'll be like hidden gold blocks under here. Overall, I'd say this bastion is B tier in terms of loot on average, but if you get lucky with the ramparts, it can definitely be A tier. Probably the most inconsistent and dangerous bastion though, because of all the Hoglins. Then we got the housing units bastion. This bastion has a bunch of ruined housing units around each other, like apartment looking buildings. Usually there will be around 4 or 5 of these. You can find chests kind of scattered throughout them with pretty good loot, and there might be some exposed gold around if you're lucky. In the middle of it all, you can find a courtyard. This courtyard has some nether wart. It's actually the only other place in the game besides fortresses where you can find nether wart, and it'll have a chest right here with some pretty good loot as well. Now let's move on to the ramparts. They're kind of obscured by these blocks, but if we just go up, you can see the top of the ramparts. There's actually 2 ramparts here. This is the first one and this is the second one. Now an important thing to remember is that the right rampart is always the best one because it consistently has a double and single chest with really good loot. Right rampart, like from this perspective, like inside the bastion perspective. The left rampart is a bit more variable. Sometimes it's tall like this one and you get another set of chests, and sometimes it's just shorter and you might just get like a single chest. Like here you can see it's still pretty good. I mean, you have ancient debris and stuff. Gold wise, this bastion also has tunnels just like the Hoglins stables, and basically you can use the snout technique here, like digging behind the snout blocks. You can see there's some gold here. Overall, I'd say the housing bastion is pretty consistent, a little bit dangerous, not as dangerous as the Hoglins stables. I'm gonna give it an A tier. Then we got the bridges bastion. This one is identifiable by the giant piglin face you will find on the front, so I guess you could say like these are its eyes, like the lava, and then this is its snout, and then like this is its mouth right here, and then you got what appear to be the sort of arms, I guess. These are actually the ramparts of the bastion. Now on the bridge leading up to the piglin's mouth, you can see there's a big pocket of gold on the side, about 16 blocks of gold, and you can just really easily grab this because, you know, the piglins are like super far away here. Probably should build a wall just to be safe. There's also another bridge under here, like under the first bridge, so it's kind of a multi-layered bridge. One chest that you're guaranteed to find is in the piglin's nostril, so you can see there's like a doorway in the piglin's nostril right here. If we just enter through that and go behind the piglin's eye, so this is the piglin's eye, you will see there's a chest right here. It'll have a lodestone. Basically it's the trademark chest of the bridge's bastion. Besides that, it will have some other stuff, and there could be a chest through the other nostril as well, though I'm not sure here because it's obscured by blocks, but sometimes there can be one over here as well. Usually, at least if there's not a chest, there will be some hidden gold blocks, so not completely pointless, like sort of scouting this area. Now moving on to the ramparts, this is where you'll find the majority of the bastion's loot. So the ramparts are not always consistent. Sometimes they'll be tall, sometimes they'll be shorter like here. Obviously, you would love both of them to be tall so you get the maximum number of chests, but you'll still get some okay loot from here if you don't. This bastion also has tunnels that are not easily accessible. You kind of have to go through like the lower bridge, I guess. You might find some other chests and gold in here. Overall, this bastion is pretty okay. Definitely the easiest to raid out of the 4, so I'm calling it B tier. And finally, we got the treasure room bastion. This is the biggest and best bastion in the game, but probably the second hardest to raid. So you can clearly see this bastion is divided into 2 segments. First, we got the 2 ramparts over here. These are basically identical. One will have a double chest with some pretty good loot right here, and the other one will have some single chests with some decent loot as well. Do be careful though, as there are lots of brutes around here. Like there can be around 3 brutes per rampart, so be really careful when you're raiding this part of the bastion. There are lots and lots of hidden gold blocks in these ramparts as well, so definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. And then we got the bridge that connects the 2 parts of the bastion. You can also see there are 2 gold blocks over here which you can just grab. Do be careful though, as this is the entrance to the main structure, so there will be lots of piglin brutes here. And speaking of the main structure, let's head into it actually. You can see it's this big like multi-floor room, you know, and you have like all these bridges and stuff, like broken bridges. You got this bridge at the bottom, and then you got this giant pit of lava. In the sort of side walkways, I guess you could call them, you will find some chests, and they will have some standard loot. And of course, at the bottom, you got this giant pit of lava. So this is basically the main part of the bastion, and it's the treasure room basically. I mean, you see all this gold here, you see these 2 chests. Yeah, these chests are just absolutely godly. I mean, you see diamond tools and armor, netherite upgrade templates, gold, iron, enchanted golden apples. Usually there'll only be like 1 or 2 of these, and they'll be like insanely good, but do be careful as there are brutes. And of course, you know, you got holes of lava in the treasure room. Please do not fall into these. I did this once and I lost my hardcore world. Also, do be wary of the magma cube spawner. As I was saying earlier in the video, this is where the magma cube spawn, the treasure bastion, and basically if you allow these to spawn too much, they'll get really annoying. And like, of course, they're like immune to lava and stuff, so you just won't be able to access the treasure room at all. So yeah, you gotta break the spawner really quickly if you can. Overall, this bastion is easily S tier in terms of loot, but do be careful as there are lots of piglin brutes around. I'm pretty sure there's like 16 on average. So yeah, be on your guard at all times. So now I'm gonna give you some extra tips for raiding the bastion. First, always raid bastions or part of the bastion from top down if you can. I mean, think about it. You have the high ground. Mobs coming up at you are going to be significantly easier to deal with than mobs descending on you all at once. Along with that, the top of the bastion usually has less lava, which is another factor. Another tip, always bring fire resistance potions for the lava. Slow falling helps too. It saves time having to build down and stuff, but regardless of that, bring lots and lots of blocks, because if you fall down in an area, it's quite difficult to get out without them. Blocks are also quite useful for escaping brutes and hoglins. Of course, get a bunch of food, shield, healing items, all of that good stuff as well. And one more tip, believe in yourself. And we also got ruined portals. These are nether portals that are ruined, hence the name, and they will contain a loot chest that has some decent stuff. So now we got only one more thing to talk about, the nether and Minecraft's ultimate resource, netherite. The strongest stuff that makes the strongest gear in the game, and it's only found in the nether. Here's exactly how to get it and the best ways to do so. So let's start off with the basics. Netherite, or in its raw form, ancient debris, can be found underground in the nether dimension in chunks of 1 to 3. It can be mined only with a diamond or netherite pickaxe. It can also technically be found at any Y level in the nether, but is most commonly found at Y level 15, so there's a start. But don't just pull up to any random nether biome and start digging down. No, there are certain biomes that are better than others for mining ancient debris. The warped forest and nether waste biomes are the best places to mine. These biomes are pretty safe without any hostile mobs and are just easier to dig in. Do not mine in basalt deltas. Not only is the basalt and blackstone harder to break than netherrack, making the mining process slow, mining in this biome is extremely dangerous as the risk of digging into lava is a lot higher. For soul sand valleys and crimson forests, these biomes have hostile mobs that can spawn in your tunnels, like hoglins and skeletons that can just be a nuisance. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'll be showing you guys the 2 best methods for mining ancient debris. Number 1, chunk border mining. This method is extremely effective for finding ancient debris, as multiple ancient debris sometimes spawns near the borders of chunks. More on that in a second. However, do keep in mind that it can be intensive on your pickaxe durability. This is why I recommend getting at least one efficiency 2 or above diamond pickaxe with mending on it. Along with that, get some torches, food, and fire resistance potions if you need them. Now that you followed my advice and dug down to y equals 15, on the Java edition, I want you to press the F3 and G key together at the same time. Some computers might require you to press function F3G. When you do this, your world will display the chunk borders, these thin yellow and blue lines. Simply dig a 2x2 tunnel in any direction. Eventually, you will see a chunk line that is perpendicular to you. As soon as you see that, dig a 2x2 tunnel or any size in the direction of that chunk line, and as you can see, there is some debris already here. Find a new chunk border, rinse, and repeat the same thing. On Bedrock, however, seeing chunk borders is impossible. However, you can find a chunk border by just doing some simple math. Turn on your coordinates, pull up a calculator if you need to. Divide either your x value or your z value by 16. I'll just do z, so 24 divided by 15 is this. From here, round it to the nearest whole number. This rounds to 2, and then multiply it by 16, so for me, 32. These are now the coordinates of the nearest chunk border. I'm going to dig there. So now I'm here, I'm going to mark the border with a block and start digging tunnels along that line. To find the next border, just remember that every chunk border is always 16 blocks apart from each other. So to find the next one, just count exactly 16 blocks from the previous chunk border, and that will give you the position of the next chunk border. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Now that I've explained that, here are some tips for chunk border mining. Number 1, during your mining, you will will run into lava, but unless it's a substantial chunk of lava that's blocking you like this, just patch it up and continue mining. Number 2, always mine any sort of gold or nether quartz ore you find when mining. This will repair your mending pickaxe's durability, and not to mention, there might be some ancient debris hidden behind the ore. Number 3, if you find debris, also remember to mine around it as well. You never know, sometimes there's more hiding away. Now, if you're curious about the effectiveness of this method, during my tests, the average I managed to get was 34.7 ancient debris in 40 minutes, or about 0.87 ancient debris per minute. Now we're going to talk about TNT mining. Many people dismiss this method as unviable because it's crazy expensive. However, from my research, it provided some impressive results. First, start off at y equals 13 and dig a long tunnel. I'm talking 100 to 200 blocks long. Once you're done, backtrack and start placing TNT every 3 to 4 blocks or so. When you place your final one, light the TNT and let it blow up the entire tunnel. Make sure every TNT got set off. And now just travel through the large tunnel you created and you'll be getting an average of 1.6 ancient debris per minute, including the beginning part. And not to mention, you can combine this with the chunk border method. There's also nether gold ore and nether quartz ore, and they of course spawn in the nether along with ancient debris. Both can be mined with any pickaxe. The best place to find both ores is in the nether wastes biome, since quartz and gold can only spawn near netherrack, and the nether wastes have no shortage of that. If you guys did enjoy this video, then please consider dropping a like and a sub, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.